Hosted by the Inkcarceration Festival.
Welcome inside the dilapidated gates of the Mansfield Reformatory in rural Ohio. I'm professional ghost hunter Josh Bernstein. This past season, I took rock stars like Anthrax, Megadeth, and Guar into the most haunted and decrepit parts of this dungeon to make contact with the paranormal. Now, we step beyond the realm of the living into the darkest corridors of the mind. Join us as we unearth some of the craziest paranormal experiences your stories and your soul will never escape. The Paranormal Prison.
The residue of depression and desperation, I mean, I guess it does hang thick in the air, you know. Certain places worse than others, as you showed me down the way with solitary confinement. Depressing, yes. Haunted by depression, and then who knows?
I mean, yeah, with the number of people and the presence you just feel walking into this place, you're like, how can there not be some kind of remnants of that energy in here? You know, it definitely is.
I think there's some validity, I guess is the word, because some people call them angels, some people call them demons. Angels, demons, some people call it negative energy, positive energy, ghosts. There's obviously something out there. I mean,
I don't believe in ghosts personally, but I do believe in demons. I believe that there are angels and I believe there are demons, but ghosts.
Which are ghosts?
No.
They can be.
No. They're not.
Well, they're spirits, right? So, I don't know.
No, demons are demons.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with demons.
I've always been a believer of the spiritual world, and the reason for that is because I had so many experiences with ghosts and spirits and things that I can't explain since I was a very young kid. And because it happens when I was very young and all the way up to now, it has become something that was so natural that I, as a youngster that's still trying to figure out life, I just thought that it was part of life until I would start talking about it to my friends and they looked at me as a freak.
Voodoo, I would not mess with voodoo unless you're really like that. Unless you're really, really like that, I would not mess with voodoo at all.
Unless you ain't even gotta ask.
Yeah. I wouldn't mess with, me personally, I don't mess with voodoo, you know, so. And I'm Haitian and I don't mess with voodoo, so.
This is not the first time we've been in here. I only half kind of believe in the paranormal thing because I've never personally experienced it, but I felt a little queasy when I actually walked in here today, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's my brain freaking me out or if it's
when you walk into this place, it's just the magnitude of what it is. It just has a vibe to it for sure, yeah.
Because you know nothing but darkness happening.
It was rough, you can tell.
We were doing the cryptic writing records and we were in Franklin, Tennessee, and we had rented a place called The Castle. And The Castle is a famous little studio for overdubbing in Franklin. It's actually Leaper's Fork. And it belonged to Al Capone, and Al had 2 tunnels that ran out under the house to the river so he could escape when the cops came, because they played cards there during the Prohibition years, and anybody cheated on old Al, he'd bury them out in the unmarked graves out back. I was there writing a song. I had mental block. I couldn't really progress. It's a song called Secret Place. And I ended up writing the song while I was there because we were singing the lyric to it, and like I said, I had completely stopped. The thought process was blocked. And I hear walking across the ceiling some footsteps. Now that didn't mean anything except for the fact that I was the only one in the live room, and there were only 2 other people in the entire building, and that was in the control room. So who was walking across the ceiling? And it was digital microphones and recording technology, so that was all brand new, and the hearing, the sound, the recording was so incredible. It sounded like normal footsteps. It very easily could have been just an apparition walking across there, but it sounded real. It was very convincing. Something was walking up there, I know that for a fact.
You know, I believe in spirits, so I guess I'll clarify with that, because I don't like anything I'm not supposed to know about. I get that they're here, I just don't need them to show me. One of the things that marked me as a kid, I think, was, we had we just lived in a regular, bungalow house, and there was a basement, and it was the cinder block, no open windows, no windows in the basement, right? But that was where all of our toys were at and whatever when friends would come over. And I remember I had a friend staying the night, and we were downstairs and we were up super late, and we were giggling and giggling, and then all of a sudden we look over and there was a rocking chair that was in the corner, and it's across the room from us, and it had started to rock. And I was like, there's no breeze down here. There's no one else is down here with us. We didn't touch it. Like, there's no way my friend could have ran past it and just accidentally bumped it. Immediately we were freaked out. We went upstairs immediately.
I've had actually three different times when I've had a situation happen. One time we were on tour in Scotland, and we were staying in Glasgow. We had a night off, and we were staying at this old hotel, and we were all going to meet up to go out to dinner. And before that, I went downstairs and had a drink, and there was a room adjacent to where the bar was at the hotel, and I just sat in this room. It was like a whiskey room, they called it, and I sat in there with my drink, and I was just reading, and the doorway was about 6 feet from where I was sitting, and I looked up and I saw this black shadowy thing go across the doorway really slow. And I was like, oh my God, there's nobody in here that saw that but me. And it freaked me the hell out. I went next door to the bar and asked the bartender about it. He didn't say anything, didn't give me any insight or anything. The next night we were there again after the show. We were having a drink, and the waiter who was taking care of us, I told him what had happened. He's like, oh yeah, we've had that a lot. A lot of the hotel, personnel and guests have seen this black shadowy thing moving across. And I was like, thank you. So that was one time. We were just in Italy, in Bologna. We were staying at this hotel, and myself and our tour manager, Meg, we were having breakfast downstairs. They finished breakfast, they all left, and we were just sitting there finishing up coffee, and the door just swung open, and we were like, what the fuck?
We've seen people on the road too, and you can feel, it's not like someone's high or they're faded or whatever. It's like there's a spirit and an energy about them. And so instantly I'm like, okay, I want to back away from them. Mm-hmm. And we've run into people where they're just randomly blurting a lot of spiritual things. So it's like they're having this conflict and they're going crazy. But I've seen it just on a lot of outreach stuff we've done even with young people, and the people, because people nowadays are messing with, they're not afraid of crossing that line of the dark side, whether it's the Ouija board or they're doing all these, whatever cards, and they're playing a game because they think, as kids, they think it's fun, but then they're actually experiencing this dark side of stuff, and they're seeing these black images, and it's real. And even people that I've talked to, kids are seeing these things, and it's like, I personally have seen people where I'm like, yeah, I think that person's demon possessed.
I'm always a skeptic first out, question the answer always. But that being said, I'll be the first to admit that there's so much that we on this plane of existence can't know and don't know and won't know until we move on. So I one year, many years ago, went to a place called Waverly Sanitarium, and it was a tuberculosis hospital for many years, and I went in there really just like, whatever, this is nothing. And by the time I left, I was like, there is something. There were 2 or 3 different unexplainable situations where I'd gone off by myself because it was a big group and it was a bunch of camera people, and I was like,
you went off by yourself? That's so unlike you.
But I was just like, if I'm going to see something, I just want to go. And we stayed 2 nights, so it was. After that experience, I'm open to anything,
I've never really had any paranormal kind of experiences, but I'm a huge believer in the alien. Oh, believer is a strong word. I have a want for that to be real, if that makes more sense.
I talked to my closest friends, but I scared the living crap out of me. That was even back in the days in school. There was I had girlfriends who broke up with me because they experienced stuff too when they were visiting me at my home, and it became a thing where I was just accepting that it was part of me. So there's been moments where it's very tough to talk about. I've been seeing certain people I just thought were part of apartments or buildings until I discovered that I've seen friends, dead parents and stuff like that. So it's something that's very fragile, and it's very emotional to go through those kind of things when you talk about it. But I'm very open to stuff like that because in such a young age, it's been part of me. So I tried to use it in my lyrics, especially when I was playing death metal in my first death metal band, Dominus, but also actually in a lot of the Volbeat stuff. And I can continue doing those kind of lyrics, but I'm still kind of having a shield up because it's so personal, it's so strong, that it's something I just can't share with the whole world all the time.
These stories will